This is News 8 Now, this morning.
Sometimes they'll talk about not having enough books and not having this or that. But at the end of the day, I think primarily it's just a reminder of how important school is to their future success.
Growing up as a little girl, I never saw myself in this field, and just to know that I'm actually where I'm supposed to be. You know, this is my purpose. And then to be someone who can represent people that look like me as well.
They've got a variety of species of plants that are identified on the signage, as well as really the purpose of this place is outlined on the sign so that they know what we are trying to do here is be good stewards of our environment.
That is a preview of what we've got coming up for you here on News 8 Now this morning on this November 11th, 2022. We want to give a shout out to all the veterans out there on this Veterans Day, and a bit of a cold start to this Veterans Day, Derek.
No kidding, Jordan. In fact, I had to bundle up myself this morning because as soon as you hit outside, right, you feel it here because it's about 30 to 40 degrees colder than what it was just yesterday morning, and you're going to notice it because temperatures this morning are currently into the mid to upper 20s. It's 26 in La Crosse and 25 degrees in Eau Claire. 27 is the temperature now in Black River Falls. We're also noticing a lot of cloud cover that continues to move in across the Coulee region from the west. This is still kind of associated with that same storm system that did bring us the cloud and stormy weather here yesterday, but now we will continue to remain cloudy throughout the day with temperatures only expected to reach the mid-30s. I do have highs reaching 35 degrees this afternoon, and we may even see a few snow flurries develop here across portions of the area during the late afternoon hours into the early evening. We'll talk more about your full weather forecast though in just a bit.
All right, thanks a lot for that update, Derek. Viroqua Police Chief Richard Needfeld is on paid administrative leave. Viroqua Mayor Justin Running confirmed to News 8 Now after a months-long external investigation, he filed disciplinary charges against the chief. Mayor Running says he's hoping for that resolution to be resolved, what he's calling a sensitive matter, but would not comment on the nature of those charges. News 8 Now will continue to follow this developing story. The trial of a former La Crosse pediatrician accused of sexual assault of children is delayed. Joseph Poteruca is charged with 3 counts of first-degree child sexual assault for kids under the age of 13. In a hearing today, a La Crosse County judge said they are hoping to move that trial along, but the prosecution says they are waiting for evidence.
Given the request of the mother of the victims, I can understand the stress that they'd be going through. Having to wait that long.
We are waiting for some evidence to be processed by the crime lab.
The judge scheduled another scheduling conference for December 21st. A Wisconsin nurse is charged with elder abuse after cutting off a patient's foot. Investigators in Pierce County say last May, Mary Brown amputated a hospice patient's foot and told her co-workers she wanted to display the foot at her family's taxidermy shop with a sign saying, "Wear your boots, kids." Less than a week after the amputation, the 62-year-old man died. However, the criminal complaint did not say the amputation caused his death. It was close, but Republicans did not flip enough seats in the state legislature to win a supermajority, as political reporter Will Keneally explains. They came up 2 seats short.
Yeah, this was a good night for Democrats relative to expectations.
But it was still within the realm of possibilities for what we were expecting.
I think one of the biggest forecasts for the Wisconsin Assembly thought Republicans would win 65 seats, and they ended up winning 64.
Republicans were close to winning a supermajority on Tuesday. They took the 1 seat that they needed in the state Senate, but they were 2 seats short in the state Assembly from getting the 2/3 majority. Marquette researcher John Johnson says Republicans may have reached a bit of a ceiling.
That's really the main seat left. That's like a realistic target for Republicans from one cycle to another.
That's a seat in suburban La Crosse. It's been held by Democrat Steve Doyle since 2011.
Steve Doyle is essentially the only Democrat in a marginal seat right now. So you don't have a situation where you have Democrats representing seats where they're thinking that a Republican might win it next time.
But Democrats may be looking to pick up some seats.
the 73rd and 74th districts in northwestern Wisconsin.
Those were two seats that Democrats lost just this year to retiring legislators.
Those are seats that they'll be hoping to win, and those are Republican incumbents who will be thinking about that for the next 2 years.
Because Republicans are close to the supermajority, they would only need a few Democrats to join them, and they would be able to override the governor's veto. Now, Johnson says that would depend on each lawmaker and the specific bill. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, who won re-election Tuesday night, wasted no time getting back to work. The governor visited with students at Summit Elementary in La Crosse and even joined them for lunch and recess. Evers, a former teacher, says visits like these put everything in perspective.
Sometimes they'll talk about not having enough books or not having this or that, but at the end of the day, I think primarily it's just a reminder of how important school is to their future success.
The governor also made a stop at an elementary school in Oshkosh. According to voting officials, La Crosse County cast more than 55,000 ballots in the November 8th midterms, equaling a voter turnout of 80%. That's not a record high, though. In 2020, over 68,000 ballots were cast for the presidential election, resulting in an 88% turnout. Presidential election years generally produce higher turnouts than midterms. On Tuesday, Wisconsin voters statewide approved more than 60% of school referendums on the ballot. The school districts of Holmen and Bangor are already working on their improvement plans. News 8 Now's Dua Israr spoke to district leaders who want to thank voters for investing in education.
In the state of Wisconsin, education funding can be a guessing game.
The funding system for the state of Wisconsin is definitely broken.
The cost of education often ends up in the hands of voters.
The only way to get that additional revenue is through referendum.
Thank you, everybody.
On Tuesday, Holmen voters approved a $74.5 million referendum and a $650,000 recurring technology referendum.
So thankful that the community is allowing us to move forward with these projects.
In Bangor, voters approved a $24 million referendum.
It was an awful lot of excitement for our community.
The first step after a referendum passes is creating a blueprint for improvements.
The rest of the year will be all about design and getting ready for those bid packages to go out.
While the process has started, residents of Holmen and Bangor won't see improvements for a few years.
We're hoping to have substantial completion of all projects by the time school starts in the fall of 2024.
Wow. Especially our students. They thought the equipment was going to come the day after the referendum was passed.
Both districts say although approving a referendum is a long process,
it's going to take a few years to complete all the projects.
None of it would be possible without voter approval.
I can't say loudly enough to our community, thank you for the support.
Reporting in Holmen, Dua Israr, News 8 Now.
Now, an important note for property taxpayers. According to district officials, the referendums will not have an impact on this year's tax bills. An area nonprofit wants to help the community address mental health now to provide a better tomorrow. Thursday night, the Family and Children's Center held a fundraiser at the La Crosse Weber Center for Performing Arts. FCC representatives talked about the different programs available to help kids overcome abuse and create a more stable home life. One former board member hopes what people heard last night may have inspired them.
Hopefully they'll see the amount of people that we help and they'll see the different programs. And it could be they see it and they need help themselves. It might not be that they just think, oh, this is something that I should give to.
Family and Children's Center also streamed Thursday night's event for those who couldn't attend. The organization currently runs 25 programs in La Crosse, Sparta, Viroqua, Black River Falls, and Winona. A book that is meant to improve your child's development is also uniting the community. In a special ceremony, the Rotary Club of La Crosse presented the newest edition, The Brain Game, a resource book meant to aid parents and caregivers with their child's development. Members are certain the book has been very beneficial to parents and children in the community.
We know that the parents are the prime actors in a child's life, but we look at the community as being the supporting cast. And our whole attitude is we want every child to succeed, because if the child succeeds, then the community succeeds.
Each new mother who gives birth at either one of the 2 local hospitals will get a free copy. We have a link with more info about the book on our website. Still to come on your Friday morning news, global banking giants Barclays and Citigroup may be planning layoffs as fears of a recession increase. And food recalls, especially among local producers, are up this year. Which companies are more likely to be affected? That's coming up after the break. With that in mind, we send you to break with something to put the good in your Friday morning. Of course, today is Veterans Day, a chance to remember, salute, and show gratitude for those who have served in the armed forces. Veterans Day is celebrated every year on the anniversary of the end of World War I more than a century ago. It began as Armistice Day with President Woodrow Wilson signing the proclamation for it in 1919. In 1954, it became Veterans Day. It is 10 after the hour. We've got your latest forecast coming up after the break.
That was a live look there from CityCam 8 showing very cloudy weather conditions that continue to move across the Coulee region. I got to tell you, it's very cold outside this morning. You're going to need to bundle up out there as current temperature readings are mainly into the 20s. All right, let's get check down your zone forecast for today. You'll notice that not only will the morning be cold, but also, well, just overall today in general will be, as highs will be into the 30s in La Crosse County. It'll be 35 today in Lansing further south and 33 in Westby today. 35 in Stoddard, though. Highs reaching 35 in La Crosse, 35 in Melrose today, 35 for Black River Falls, and 35 for Blair. The north zones in Eau Claire also looking very similar to the rest of us, which will be mainly into the mid-30s here for today. For your schoolcast this morning, 29 degrees and cloudy, 34 and cloudy for the lunch hour. A few snow flurries, though, are possible this afternoon, with temperatures this afternoon around 35 degrees as well. I'll be back with another check on the full weather forecast still to come.
A warning to parents of young children this morning. Nearly 150,000 Mockingbird strollers purchased online or at Target stores in the last couple of years are being recalled. The Consumer Products Safety Commission says the lower end of the frame can crack, causing a child inside the stroller to fall. At least 8 children have been injured. The company will provide a fix for free. Global banking giants Barclays and Citigroup are reportedly planning to layoffs as investors fear the economy may be sliding into a recession. Barclays is eliminating 200 positions, while Citigroup plans to cut at least 50 employees. The staff reductions follow similar actions by Goldman Sachs, SoftBank, and Wells Fargo. The cuts are not as big as those by social media giants Twitter and Facebook, which involved thousands of positions. The Federal Reserve's war on inflation has driven up credit card rates to the highest record. According to Bankrate.com, the average credit card percentage rate climbed to 19.4% as of November 9th. The national average APR for credit cards has climbed by 2.74 percentage points so far this year. That is the biggest increase in a single year. Food recalls, especially among local producers, are up this year. The Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection says it happens mostly with smaller companies, but they're doing their best to make sure they provide the proper food safety education.
There have been 19 Class 1 and 2 food recalls for Wisconsin products since January.
That is a number larger than maybe we've seen in recent years.
In order to sell food in commercial places, you have to file a food safety plan with DATCP. But smaller businesses may not update those plans as fast as their products or equipment may change.
When that happens, we need to take that product, we need to get it out of the marketplace to make sure that we don't have products out there that are not compliant for consumers.
Regulations can be as strict as where the food preparation is done, as Athens pizza maker Stony Acres Farm discovered, to the hours that the manufacturers are in operation.
We have an agreement with each establishment. They sign off what hours they're going to operate, and we basically are committing to be able to inspect that establishment during those hours.
Stony Acres voluntarily recalled a batch of pizzas in October. Use of an oven outside their licensed facility made the inspection sticker on their packaging invalid.
So if a product was manufactured and packaged outside of the hours that we've agreed to, and they put that mark of inspection on the product, again, it's sending the wrong message to the consumer.
In Stony Acres' case, there were no illnesses from any of the pizzas that were sold, but Meyer says it's best to get rid of anything DATCP warns against and make sure surfaces they've touched are disinfected.
Clean things out just to make sure that you haven't somehow contaminated your appliances or your refrigerator.
Voluntary recalls are done by the makers of the products that get flagged based on recommendations by DATCP. Now, if a manufacturer decides not to pull a food item from stores, there will be a health alert issued on the DATCP website.
Skies are looking mainly cloudy, also very cold outside this morning with temperatures at 26 degrees in La Crosse, a west wind at around 17, so slightly on the breezy side. And because of the wind speeds factoring in with the cold air in place, we're looking at a feel-like temperature of 13 degrees here this morning. Now, a little bit further to the north in Eau Claire, you're also cold at 25 degrees. It does feel like it's 12 degrees when you factor in the west winds at around 16 miles an hour. Overall, a 30 to 40 degree temperature difference here on the colder side here this morning. So you'll definitely need to bundle up as you head out the door, as all of us are currently reporting the 20-degree mark here this morning. And it only looks like we will be warming up into the mid-30s during the early afternoon through the late afternoon today, with even a few flurries that could be moving around the area here this afternoon as well. Otherwise, it's just going to remain like this here today, just very cloudy weather conditions on the backside of this low pressure system that was responsible for bringing us some showers and thunderstorms yesterday, now moving away here from us, but we're on the backside, so we're looking at the cold air that continues to move in from the north, and that cold air will continue to drop down our temperatures well into the 30s throughout the rest of today, and also really throughout the rest of the week and over the next several days here as well. Things will stay cold and overall very cloudy. A few snow flurries here are possible again here moving in from the north, as there's still a little bit of moisture in the air to work with, and we may even see that here tonight and through the day tomorrow. Otherwise, if you don't see flurries, it's just going to be a mainly cloudy day though nonetheless, and we will be looking at some clearing conditions though perhaps as we head into tomorrow night into early Sunday. And then later in the day, we will be looking at some more clouds moving in from the west, making it at least between around partly cloudy here as we head into later in the day on Sunday. And then we start to see the clouds here increase yet again as we head into next week with a slight chance of snow showers for Monday and Tuesday. Mostly cloudy skies for much of next week as well, with highs mainly into the 30s and low temperatures into the 20s. And don't forget, you can download the First Alert weather app for free on the Google Play or the Apple App Store. You get local weather conditions, alerts, as well as your 8-day forecast, no matter where you are. Stay tuned, though. We're back with much more news and weather still to come here on News 8 Now this morning. But for now, we're taking a quick break with a look at what happened on this day in history. We'll be right back. Cloudy skies across much of the area now. In fact, really all of us looking at the cloud cover. It's really the temperatures, though, that are the main weather story for us this morning, as current readings have dropped well into the 20s across the area. 25 in Eau Claire and 26 degrees the temperature in La Crosse. It's 27, though, further east in areas like Black River Falls, and pretty much the same temperature in Winona, too, also at 27 degrees. Dog walking conditions this morning do look pretty cloudy and cold. Things will stay that way throughout the afternoon, and a few snow flurries possible late this afternoon, also into early this evening. I'll be back with a check on the commute forecast in just a bit.
Welcome to the Blitz. Football is often referred to as the ultimate team sport. 11 players on a field at once, and if you don't do your job, it all falls apart. Our own Cade Overton tells us why sometimes the most important pieces of a team don't get all the shine on Friday nights.
Onalaska football has racked up 12 wins and 0 losses on the year. Week after week, getting big wins. A big part of their success comes on the practice field.
Our practice is extremely focused. We know what we need to do. Each rep is crisp.
Where guys like Ronnie Brockway get their shine.
Oh, it's so fun.
He went out for football for the first time since 5th grade, and little did he know he would become one of the most important practice guys.
I just love it. I love my teammates. I love my coaches. And it's just, I love playing scout. It's just, and it gets me better personally.
But maybe more importantly, it gets his teammates better. Day in, day out, no complaints. He's just doing everything he can to give the guys the best look.
It's what makes the program good is when those guys take that job seriously. You guys know everybody has a role, and your role might be a scout team player, might be a starter, but every one of them is important.
Sometimes hard work pays off. Ronnie's effort was noticed by the captains, and they chose him for their Thursday tradition of pounding the rock.
The theory behind it is that someday that rock's going to break, and it's because of all the swings that came before it, not the one that actually broke it.
When I heard Yash say my name, my heart dropped. I did not know I was going to swing it. And I don't know, I just love it. And I was so happy all my teammates were supporting me and everything.
A good team needs good practice, and that's what guys like Ronnie bring every day. Reporting from Onalaska, Kate Overton, News 8 Now.
Now Ronnie's teammates have paid him back all season long by getting big leads and giving Ronnie a shot at taking the field on Friday nights. It doesn't get any bigger than tonight. Onalaska West Salem, the winner, heads to Camp Randall next week to play in the state title game. That'll do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
Breaking overnight, President Joe Biden is scheduled to meet with the Chinese president on Monday. The conference will take place while the two are in Bali for the 2022 G20 summit. U.S. officials say the goal is to have Biden and China's president improve the relationship between the two largest economies in the world. U.S. officials say human rights and the economic practices will be likely discussed during that meeting. The United States will once again allow Cubans to apply for immigrant visas at the U.S. Embassy in Havana. The U.S. suspended services in 2017 after diplomats at the embassy became ill with what was termed as Havana syndrome. State Department officials announced Thursday the resumption of visa processing will begin early next year. Over the past 5 years, Cubans who wanted to enter the U.S. had to apply for visas through third countries. Former President George W. Bush is gaining support among Republicans for Ukraine. Bush will be holding a public conversation with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at his presidential center in Dallas next week. Bush's support comes as Republican House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has hinted the new Congress may take a look at funding for Ukraine. McCarthy hopes to become Speaker of the House next year if Republicans take control of the chamber. On Thursday, Wisconsin State Republicans re-elected Assembly Speaker Robin Vos. The upcoming session will mark Vos's 6th as Assembly Speaker, making him the longest-serving Speaker in the state. Assembly Republicans also elected Representative Tyler August to serve as Majority Leader. Cops will be clamping down around the University of Minnesota the next 2 weekends. David Schumann shows us how campus police are partnering with Minneapolis officers to try to keep students safe.
The last several weekends provided an unusual amount of activity that we wanted to step up and try to stop it before it got into going on a regular basis.
The unusual activity included multiple fireworks attacks this weekend that hurt at least 4 people, including this female student. So the University of Minnesota is bringing in more police the next 2 weekends. Up to 10 extra officers coming from campus police and MPD getting paid overtime.
It'll start, late afternoon, early evening, and go into the early morning. Part of our view is that more visible police presence will help deter criminal activity.
Jada Sherman lives near where the fireworks attack happened. She feels more police are a good start, but ultimately a drop in the ocean.
It's a temporary solution to a problem that's going to persist, and I don't really feel like there's been any kind of message sent to the people that are doing this that you will be held accountable.
Joe Birch also thinks more accountability is needed, but he does feel safer than he used to.
The emphasis on campus safety happened after last year, more so, and so it's occurring right now, so I feel like more stuff is going to be done.
I asked MPD, if officers are going to be a part of this campus safety effort, what does that mean for the rest of the city these next 2 weekends? A spokesperson told me no officers will be pulled off their regular shifts. Up to 6 a day will volunteer to take the overtime and patrol these neighborhoods.
Now, the university will pay additional university MPD and MPD officers overtime to patrol that area today and tomorrow. The newly elected Hennepin County Sheriff is making history for being sworn in. Dewana Witt is Minnesota's first sheriff of color and first female sheriff. Witt once lived in government housing and became a mom at just 15 years old, eventually graduating high school in 1992. Witt hopes that her story will inspire others to rise from adversity and achieve big dreams.
Growing up as a little girl, I never saw myself in this field, and just to know that I'm actually where I'm supposed to be. You know, this is my purpose, and then to be someone who can represent people that look like me as well.
As sheriff, Witt will oversee 800 employees and serve the more than 1 million people who live in Hennepin County. An ex-Republican leader in Congress is laying out what he sees is the current problem for the GOP. Former House Speaker Paul Ryan attended an event in his hometown of Janesville, Wisconsin. On Wednesday, Ryan pointed to former President Donald Trump as a reason why his party did not perform as well as predicted in this week's midterm elections.
I think Trump's kind of a drag on our ticket. I think Donald Trump gives us problems politically. We lost the House, the Senate, and the White House in 2 years when Trump was on the ballot or in office. And I think we just have some Trump hangover. I think he's a drag on our offices and our races.
Ryan believes even if Trump was to run for president again, he would not get the party's nomination. A busy night for members of La Crosse's Common Council. They passed several resolutions, including one to adopt a flood hazard reduction plan and others to allow the La Crosse Police Department to accept state and federal grants for training and to fund a police officer position. The resolutions passed unanimously. 54,000 pounds. That is the amount of unwanted meds Wisconsin officers collected during last month's Drug Take-Back Day. Law enforcement safely disposed of the drugs. Unused or expired medicine should never be flushed or poured down the drain. Water reclamation facilities are not designed to remove all of them, and trace amounts of pharmaceuticals have shown up in rivers and lakes. With all of the challenges facing Wisconsin schools, one issue has flown under the radar: seclusion and restraint. In this Eye on Education, Chris Stanford shows us the techniques being taught in the classroom.
It's really traumatizing to students and the staff members.
Connie Persick is an educational consultant. Wisconsin schools hire her to teach staff how to de-escalate behavior.
I kind of fell in love with supporting students who struggle more with behaviors.
When student behavior puts their or someone else's safety in danger, state law allows staff to seclude or physically restrain the student as a last resort. It happens all the time in schools across the state, mostly to younger students with disabilities. It's Connie's job to prevent it.
The traditional approach was very rooted in behaviorism and very much about rewards and punishment and consequences. And I was really struggling when people were requesting that I do that. And so I've spent the last 9 years kind of revamping that whole process to be aligned with more current knowledge around the brain, be more neurodiversity affirming, so that we stop sending this message to people who are different, that they're broken and we need to fix them.
After 13 years in education, working in classrooms with students, it's a cause that's personal.
I got into special education and speech pathology because I have an older sister with cerebral palsy. We would go out into the community and everybody was always really nice to us. And so, but then my families that I was working with would tell me how awful people were to them because their children look typical. They don't look like they have a disability.
During her sessions, she teaches the importance of being aware.
Teachers are human also, and so if they have a lot of stressors on their plate, if they maybe aren't feeling well that day, the students are going to pick up on that, and all of our emotions are contagious. And so if you have stressed out staff, you're going to have stressed out students.
She also conducts student evaluations, which are required if a student is secluded or restrained twice in a school year. She hopes her work is making a difference.
I do. I hope I am.
Connie is in high demand, partly because of the teacher and sub shortage right now. A La Crosse conservation group is highlighting a local elementary school for its water-friendly landscape. On Thursday, La Crosse Area Waters dedicated new signage to the Jan Hamill Rain Garden at La Crescent Hoka Elementary School. The garden is run by volunteers and is designed to take water from the school's downspouts and distribute it equally to all plants. The elementary school principal hopes the signage can help educate students about protecting a critical resource.
They've got a variety of species of plants that are identified on the signage, as well as really the purpose of this place is outlined on the sign so that they know what we are trying to do here is be good stewards of our environment.
The school also has a regular garden, sensory garden, and a natural playground. COP says since coming out of the pandemic, the school wants to be purposeful with the outdoor features they offer students. A heads up to drivers who use La Crosse's South Avenue. It will be closed between Green Bay Street and Ward Avenue at 9 p.m. tonight. The closure is expected to last throughout the weekend. While crews do sewer work, drivers are encouraged to use Jackson Street and Losey Boulevard instead. After a 2-year break, UW La Crosse's Veterans Day Breakfast is making a comeback. The 10th event will be held today at Mitchell Hall Fieldhouse and will feature a keynote speech by a Vietnam veteran and 5th graders from Northwoods Elementary. They'll perform songs. The breakfast starts today at 7:30. We're going to be there as well. The program begins at 8:45. Breakfast is free and open to all veterans and their guests. Free parking is available across from Mitchell Hall in Lot C2.
Cloudy conditions all across the Coulee region now, and it looks like those clouds will continue for the majority of the day, if not all day, unfortunately, with temperature readings well into the 20s. It's 26 Black River Falls, 25 in Eau Claire, 26 degrees, the temperature in La Crosse. For your Veterans Day forecast today, we will continue to remain cloudy. Temperatures at 30 degrees at 9, 35 at 1 p.m., and a few snow flurries here possible around 5. Temperatures at around 35 degrees. For your drivecast, though, we are looking pretty cloudy here for the morning, and it looks like the cloud cover will continue for your lunch hour as well, followed by a few snow flurries as we head into the late afternoon to early evening under those mainly cloudy and overall cold conditions as well. But stay tuned, I'll have a final check on your full weather forecast. That's still to come next in weather. Jordan?
Thanks a lot, Derek. Comedian Chris Rock will make history with Netflix. What the comedian's plans are for the network coming up in our Buzz Report after the break. It's 20 to the top of the hour. We'll be right back right after this.
Oh, it's much cloudier here this morning across the area, and also much colder here too. We'll get to that in a second. As of right now, it's 26 degrees, mostly cloudy in La Crosse with west winds at around 17 miles an hour. A feel-like temperature of 13 degrees when you factor in the wind. To the north in Eau Claire we go. It's 25 and cloudy, and a west wind here at 16, so that makes the feel-like temperature at 12 degrees. So yeah, you might want to bundle up out there, as we are definitely feeling the wind chill factors this morning and all across the region. And also keep in mind that we're about 30 to 40 degrees colder this morning on the backside of that storm system that did bring us the wet and cloudy weather here yesterday for most of us. And our current temperatures are into the 20s this morning, so you're definitely going to feel it as you head out the door. Pack that winter jacket with you. I think you'll need it. Cloudy skies throughout the day with some snow flurries possible around 5 p.m. 35 degrees of temperature. Cloudy skies by noon, or by this evening I should say. Temperatures then dropping to 33 degrees. You can see all the cloudy weather that continues to move across the Coulee region now. And if you remember all the rain here, well, it's mainly off to the east of us now, kind of mixing in with a little bit of snow here earlier, what those radar indications were detecting. But again, you could see that low pressure system that did bring us the wet and cloudy weather yesterday now off to the east of us, but we're still looking at some of those clouds wrapping around the system on the backside on the west. And not to mention then that cold air continues to filter in from the north from Canada on the backside of the system as well. And that's why our temperatures are going to drop into the 30s, not just today, but through the weekend and also into next week. It's going to feel a lot colder around here. So Sky Tracker showing today the clouds continue to move in, maybe a couple of snow flurries as well popping up here. You might notice that throughout the day. And it looks like that trend continues kind of into tonight as well. Otherwise, if you don't see flurries, it's just going to be mainly cloudy. And the cloudy weather will continue for much of the day tomorrow with a slight chance of a flurry here or two as well. It's really not until around tomorrow night into early Sunday where most of the cloud cover here should be gone, but we will be looking at increasing clouds yet again moving in from the west as we head into Sunday afternoon. All right, so here's a check on your 8-day forecast, and you'll see that we will be looking at the temperatures well into the 30s over the next several days with those mainly cloudy skies. We may see a break in the clouds again, like I said, here on Sunday before increasing again as we head into next week. A few snow showers are possible on Monday and Tuesday, so something that we'll keep our eyes on. Don't forget, you can also download the First Alert weather app on the Google Play or the Apple App Store. You get all the weather alerts, plus your local current conditions and your 8-day forecast right on your phone.
In our Buzz Report this Friday morning, Chris Rock is about to make history with Netflix. The comedian will perform live for the streaming service. The event is expected to take place early next year and will mark the first time Netflix has ever streamed something live to a global audience. The comedian has been on the road these past few months with his Ego Death World tour. Actor Rainn Wilson is making a name change to demand world leaders take action on climate change. The Office star tweeted he is switching up his name to Rainfall Heat Wave Extreme Winter Wilson. Now that's a mouthful, but he says it's not a joke. It's as serious as the melting Arctic. He's encouraging others to change their name too. It's not clear whether Wilson will legally change his name. Wordle players, listen up. Changes are coming. The new owners of the game say the game is shifting away from the original pre-selected words to include words that the paper chooses. It will never be plural that ends in S or ES. The Times editorial director of games said the answer list will be curated, but players can still use any words they want while trying to solve the puzzle. The New York Times bought Wordle earlier this year. We are sending you to break with a pair of birthdays this Friday morning.
That's right. We're going to start off with a happy 8th birthday to Ella. Now, Ella's a bright and kind girl who loves to bike, hike, and dance. Happy birthday, Ella.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ella. We hope your day is special. We also want to wish a happy 8th birthday this morning to Tatum. She loves to sing, dance, do gymnastics, and play basketball. Awesome. Doing a little everything.
Happy birthday to you, Tatum, as well. If you know a special someone turning 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80 years old, or 88 years old soon, we would love to feature them.
Yeah, make sure you let us know. You're going to upload their photo right to our website at news8000.com. Look for the Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on the website. Well, we hope you can stay with us this Friday morning. We've got everything you need to know today in 5 minutes or less, plus your latest forecast coming up next. Your morning news now on this Friday. Governor Tony Evers, who won re-election Tuesday night, wasted no time getting back to work. The governor visited with students at Summit Elementary in La Crosse and even joined them for lunch and recess. Evers, a former teacher, says visits like these put everything in perspective. The school districts and Bangor have started designing some of the improvements and repairs their schools will need. This is just the start of using the roughly $100 million voters approved on Tuesday. Now, Holmen voters approved a $74.5 million referendum and an additional $650,000 for recurring technology needs. In Bangor, voters approved $24 million for a referendum. District officials say they have started planning their first steps for improvements.
Basically, when we're talking actual construction, we've got the rest of the year will be all about design and getting ready for those bid packages to go out.
Both Bangor and Holmen school officials say a majority of the construction will not be completed until 2024. Staff at Holmen and Bangor say the funding will help the current buildings last for several more years. A busy night for members of La Crosse's Common Council. They passed several resolutions, including one to adopt a flood hazard reduction plan and others to allow the La Crosse Police Department to accept state and federal grants for training and to fund a police officer position. Those resolutions passed unanimously.
Cloudy skies for really not just the rest of the morning, but all throughout the day. And we may even see a few snow flurries as well come later this afternoon into early this evening. High temperatures today only make it to 35 degrees.
A La Crosse Conservation Group is highlighting a local elementary school for its water-friendly landscape. On Thursday, La Crosse Area Waters dedicated new signage to the Jan Hamill Rain Garden at La Crosse and Hoka Elementary School. The garden is run by volunteers and is designed to take water from the school's downspouts and distribute it equally to all plants. The elementary school principal hopes the signage can help educate students about protecting a critical resource.
They've got a variety of species of plants that are identified on the signage, as well as really the purpose of this place is outlined on the sign so that they know what we are trying to do here is be good stewards of our environment.
The school also has a regular garden, sensory garden, and a natural playground. COP says since coming out of the pandemic, the school wants to be purposeful with the outdoor features they offer students. A heads up to drivers who use La Crosse's South Avenue. It will be closed between Green Bay Street and Ward Avenue at 9 p.m. tonight. That closure is expected to last throughout the weekend while crews do sewer work. Drivers are encouraged to use Jackson Street and Losey Boulevard instead. After a 2-year break, UW La Crosse's Veterans Day Breakfast is making a comeback. The 10th event will be held today at Mitchell Hall Fieldhouse and will feature a keynote speech by a Vietnam veteran. And 5th graders from Northwoods Elementary will perform songs. The breakfast starts today at 7:30. That's coming up in the next half hour. The program begins at 8:45. Breakfast is free and open to all veterans and their guests. Free parking is available across from Mitchell Hall. Just use lot C2.
And as you head out the door this morning, it's a cloudy start. Temperatures in the upper 20s, only at 34 degrees at noon today with an expected high of 35. With cloudy skies, a few snow flurries are possible late this afternoon as well. Slightly breezy here today too, Jordan.
You know, like 40-degree difference there?
It's insane. It's insane. Yep. Welcome to winter, not really fall.
Welcome to the Midwest. We should be used to it now. Thank you so much for your time this week. We appreciate it as always. We'll be back on the air this afternoon for News 8 Now at noon. We hope you have a great weekend. CBS Mornings follows us here.